I'm Dr. Bonny Gifford, Superintendent of the Dartmouth Public Schools. I'm hoping that most of you know that I arrived here in Dartmouth in July, having come from Falmouth, where I was superintendent for 2 years. So since coming to Dartmouth, I've been looking for ways to involve myself in the community and help the community begin to know a lot about what's going on in our school system. So over the past few years, we've seen tremendous changes in education, and as a result, it's certainly difficult for parents and community members to really keep abreast of the latest trends. So we've developed this show. We're going to call it Dartmouth's Got Talent. And through this show, we're hoping to bring you a lot of information about the people that work in our schools, our students, and the many programs that we have going on in all of our schools. So I was able to get a great guest for today, our first show. And I'd like to introduce her to you. She's Tracy Oliveira, who is the district's Director of Curriculum, Title I, and Mentoring.
Correct.
So welcome, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming today. And I know I'm laughing because, as we know, and we want the folks to know, you're my first guest.
Yes.
And kudos to you for being brave to take this on. So this is an opportunity for all of us and of course the folks back home to really get a picture of who you are as a professional and your personal life. You've lived in Dartmouth forever, and then tell us a little bit about what your role is in the system.
Sure, and thank you for having me first. I say the first is always best.
That's
so
right. That's right.
We'll set the bar high for everyone
That's
who
right.
comes
You
after
got
us. So I have been a resident of Dartmouth for about 21 years. I actually was born and raised in New Bedford. I went to New Bedford High, and I've been teaching for Dartmouth schools for, this is going on my 13th year.
Okay.
I started out teaching in New Bedford also. And then I always tease, I left for a 6-month maternity leave, and I was out for 6 years. I said I woke up with a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a newborn. So I was fortunate enough to spend time at home with my boys, and then started at Potter School. What I started as, it was actually a Title I teacher. Then I went over to be a reading specialist, a literacy coach, and now I say I have this title, which has a lot of letters in it.
Right.
A long title.
It
But
sure does.
we enjoy Dartmouth. So we have 3 boys.
Right.
I
And
think
all
what
have gone through the system.
All have gone through the system. My oldest has graduated 3 years ago and is now a junior at URI. I have a senior and a freshman at the high school. So Dartmouth is personal and professional to me.
Right. And your boys, I believe, I know I've met a couple, are involved or have been involved in different pieces of the band and all kinds of things.
Absolutely, and I would say that's what makes Dartmouth special. Is it's a nice place to be. My husband and I are both very happy with our kids. Dartmouth schools have provided opportunities for them that we might not have been able to do, like the band. Right. We are not musically inclined, and I say I can tune a radio, but I can't do much else.
Important.
So they're both heavily involved in the band, and it's just they've had a chance to explore and do so much and grow as people. They've built relationships with people in the buildings, and it's been a really nice place.
Good.
They're ready to go out and conquer the world now.
I remember one of them being a real big guy.
Yes, he was football player. Yeah, my oldest one played football. The other 2 track, robotics, mate. They're involved in a lot. So
Good. Does your husband, is he able to participate in any of the sports and things that the kids are involved in?
Yeah, we go. That's what I said. We're not musically inclined, but we're great band parents. We'll sit and wear our Dartmouth gear and cheer them on. Try to figure out that scoring. We're still getting there.
That's important.
But yeah, he's involved too. He's involved in some of the robotics programs that they have and helping the school. That's more his field. Yeah.
Good. So it is a really nice place to be. So we announced your title, Director of Curriculum, Title I, and Mentoring. I think what the folks back home really need to know is, well, we can't give them the whole thing of what that means right away, but especially the curriculum piece, because we talk a lot about that and some of the work that we'll be doing. So really, what does a curriculum director do?
Just about everything.
Yeah, so that's what I thought.
Yeah, jack of all trades, I say. So curriculum, I love it because it's really what we teach. It's what's going on in the buildings every single day. The broad sense is what we teach, but I like to say it's what we want kids to be able to know and do by the time they leave. So when they leave us, what skills do we want them to have? And not just the skills of social studies and math, but skills on how to be a good person and what to go out and do and how to synthesize all those skills and put them all together so that they can be successful in whatever they choose. Whatever career they want to go on or go on to college.
Right. And sometimes we hear a lot about when we create curriculum, maybe people at home will hear teachers say things like, we don't want to be dictated by a test so when we create the curriculum, as you just said, it identifies skills and whatnot that we want kids to know, but where's the teacher's piece in there? What's the autonomy or whatever that the teachers have?
So I think what's great about the standards is that they're kind of like outcomes. This is what we want the kids to do. How they get there is the teacher's choice. And that's what the teachers, I say a curriculum is all about. A teacher's job is to kind of organize those learning experiences. This is what we want, and the curriculum and the standards are nice because they're a nice trajectory of skills and they're building blocks of skills. But the teachers have their chance to kind of build, what does this look like for me? In Dartmouth, we do a great job of getting to know our learners in front of us. So they spend that month of September figuring out the kids, and then they build learning experiences that match what the kids are like, and kind of where they can grow and where they can kind of, what's best for their interests. So we know we can't just give kids something to do. It has to be matched. We have to match it with their experiences. So I kind of say they're kind of the architects of the lesson.
Oh, I like that.
And they kind of like just kind of build that lesson to fit what they want the outcomes to be.
I like that. And as you know, we attended the Mass Q conference yesterday, which for folks at home, it's about, educators coming together to really talk about not just so much technology, but as we saw yesterday, innovation. And what you're just mentioning about finding ways to engage kids and find what's interesting to them. We certainly saw a lot of that yesterday, didn't we? Strategies and...
It was amazing and I always say that it's amazing what kids can do with technology nowadays and how their brains just think differently. And it was nice to hear people say that they can Google a lot of the information now. We have to kind of move to teach them how to synthesize that information and what to do with that information. So it's a shift. Yes. But it's a shift that the kids are pushing us to.
That's right.
So I think we take it on.
As
and we
oldies,
can go with it.
Sometimes we're slow, right?
we have to. I don't. When we walk into buildings with technology alone, we'll say, "Ask a kid how to do it."
That's
They'll
true.
know.
That's true.
They can
I remember when we got our first computer at home. My son was 3 years old, and we had dial-up, of course, and that DOS language and all that crazy stuff back then. And we'd lay in bed sometimes, and we'd hear the little dial-up start. It was my 3-year-old on the computer, and we'd look at each other like, oh my goodness, they knew more than even back then, right? So what's new in curriculum? We hear so much coming from the state. People hear Common Core, we hear Park, we hear MCAT, we have all of this stuff. What do we need to focus on? What's new for us?
So it's always new. It's always changing. I say that's a good thing. One thing we just talked about leaving the conference is digital citizenship. So now that kids have all this, what do we need to do? We need to stop bringing that into our curriculum. How do we teach students to be good digital learners and pull out? Not everything they find online is what is information that they should take. So we have the digital citizenship. We've taken on a big initiative this year on curriculum mapping. So like we said earlier, what kids should know and be able to do, but where does that fit in? And we want some nice vertical, meaning K-12, and horizontal, so all of our, say, 8th grade students, all of our 8th grade teachers, are really doing the same content, kind of using that same language and building upon each other. And I said our goal for this year is what I'm calling building bridges. So between our levels, so between our 5th and our 6th grade especially, and our 8th and our 9th grade, those buildings, how can we build bridges so that when we move the kids over, everyone's still talking the same language, and all of our 9th grade teachers know exactly what happened in 8th grade. So we give them those kind of lenses.
So especially with our elementary schools all feeding into
one middle school
to have all of those kids coming up with the same skills. Not same skills, but at least having had the same learning experiences and ready for the next level.
And the same academic language. So teachers are using the same words. There's a lot of ways, I say, to get to where we're going, but if we all just know what was said, how did they frame this in 5th grade? How did they go about this? And then the teachers, we get that they didn't learn this. Well, they didn't. Oh, I remember you did it this way in 5th grade, and then the kids' eyes light up, and they can just kind of take that and build from it and go with it.
So what else is going on?
So we also have, I said, our science. We have new science standards coming down, so we're diving into those, which is kind of fun and exciting. They're all arranged according to disciplines, a lot of hands-on, a lot of integrating that technology that we were talking about in the standards. So that's kind of our big, I'd say, rock that we have to move, kind of mine through that and get some materials. We've got some great materials at the middle school already, where they're already off and piloting it and looking at it. The high school has gotten some fabulous supplies, where the kids have some good probes and some good microscopes, and they're really able to dig deep into the labs now. So that's some exciting stuff.
That is exciting. Talk about hands-on.
Exactly, and that's what the kids love. With you coming in, we have a great push for social-emotional learning, which is also nice, because we say kids have to be confident in who they are and how they treat each other in order to have academic success.
That is so important. I'm glad you mentioned that, because again, we see so much across the country of kids and adults struggling with the depression and the anxiety and the stress of our days. And so it is important for us to make it known to our community as well as our staff that we are really focused in on supporting our entire, as I said, the staff
All the
and
kids, right,
everybody
everyone,
in their
all,
learning
right.
and socially, emotionally, healthy minds.
Yes,
so I'm glad you
exactly.
mentioned
Yeah,
that.
so that's a new thing we're taking on. Building on some of the stuff we did last year. Last year was a big focus on independent reading.
Okay.
There's lots of research that just says the more kids read, the better they do. We've
Sure.
got to get books into kids' hands, and we've got to get kids reading. So at the end of the year, I actually asked a lot of the staff members to send me some pictures of what we did. We tried to have a big push on reading lives.
Right.
What is your life like as a reader? You asked me earlier what my strengths. I'm an avid reader. I love to read. I say I will read anything you put in my hands. I love to read. And I wanted that for my boys, and I want that for all the kids of Dartmouth to just love reading. So we had a big push about independent reading, building their reading life. So I have a little video here where kids talk about how they grew as a reader.
Oh, what grade? Is it different grade levels?
It's actually K right through 12.
Nice.
We didn't have a lot of video of the 12th
okay.
graders, but you can see some stills of them reading the books and how much we read, how much kids had eyes on print and grapple with text.
Okay, well, I'm sure folks back home are going to love to watch this.
Watch
so
the little
we'll
guys.
we'll
They're
let it go.
adorable.
When I was in first grade, I used to read picture books, and now in second grade, I've been reading a lot of chapter books. And a lot of books that I like to read have been Judy Moody, My Weird School, and Junie B. Jones. When I came into second grade, I didn't know how to read. My teacher needed to help me a little, and now I'm a big reader. I'm reading lots of books like Drama Stilton, iFunny, and Percy Jackson. It really helped me read this year because Mrs. Jenkins puts out books and they have hard words in it. And in the beginning of the year, I could barely read some books like Magic Tree House, and now closer to the end of the year, I can read books like The Hobbit. I have improved myself as a reader. I used to read little books, and now I read bigger books. And my favorite books are Judy Moody, Geronimo Stilton, and My Weird School. At the beginning of the school year, I was really scared of showing other people how I read, but now I feel really confident about myself. I like reading because last year was much harder, and this year it's much easier for me, and I like this book because there's a lot of chapters in it, and it's fun to read.
I came in to second grade this year. I was feeling pretty confident on most of my subjects. I was a bit nervous about spelling, but it turned out to be pretty good. This series I recommend because it's like, if you're still getting the hang of thick books, it's not too thick, and it's like nice stories with a bunch of details. And I've also been reading Harry Potter, which is very thick, like the first book's like that thick. So I'd only recommend that if you're doing very good at reading.
When I came to school, I thought it was going to be hard to read, but it turned out it was going to be easy. And I'm reading Nate the Great, Nixie Ricardo, and Magic Tree House, and it's kind of easy. I feel more into books than when I first started second grade. Reading is amazing, and you should always have a book in your desk. My favorite series that I've read is Wings of Fire.
In kindergarten, I used to not read that good because when I was in kindergarten, my teacher and my friends in kindergarten kept telling me to look at the lines, and I kept going to the third line, and I kept skipping. So now in second grade, I read a lot better, and now I know where the lines are because everybody in my class helps me. And I forgot. Oh, and this is my favorite book. Recommend Miss G.V. Jones if you're getting just into thicker books. And I recommend you go to Miss Carol's class if you really want to read Jeannie B. Jones books. She has like a whole collection of Jeannie B. Jones books. She has even this one, Jeannie B. First Grader at Last. And it's a really funny, very, very funny book. And I recommend it. In the beginning of the year, I could barely read Junie B. Jones and Amelia Bedelia. Now I can read Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, and my writing's also changed. I used to write like a page and a half of writing. Now I write like 8 pages and 3/4 of writing. And my favorite book so far is Flat Stanley, the original adventure. A bulletin board fell on him, in case you don't know what this is about. Alright?
When I first started second grade, I felt a little worried that there were going to be like words a bit hard. It ended up easy, and I'm more used to reading words that might have been vocabulary words in first grade. And if my favorite series is the Rainbow Magic series, which is about 2 girls named Rachel and Kirsty going on adventures with fairies. And some advice is that if you don't know what book to choose and you find a book but you don't know if it's too hard or easy, do the 5-finger rule and read one page. Every time you go through a hard word, put one finger up. If you end up with none, 1 or 2 fingers up, it's a good book for you. 3 fingers, you might want to read it with an adult or a friend. 4 or 5 readers, you might want to choose another book. I feel like I've gotten better at reading, and because I like reading now, and it is fun to read, and I've been practicing reading, and it's fun. And and I like Magic Treehouse books and how they are. And my reading has changed because we gone to centers and you get to pick your book, and this is my favorite book because the teacher is very crazy.
Started second grade, I thought a couple of books would be hard, but now they turned out easy. Because at the beginning of second grade, I got stuck on Henry and Mudge on summer reading. Now I'm reading Harry Potter, Miss Daisy is Crazy, and Percy Jackson. And biographies of baseball players, hockey players, football players, and soccer players.
Because reading this book, I didn't know any words in this book, but now I do. Because when it was September, I didn't know a lot of words, but I know a lot of difficult ones, so I can read this book.
My favorite book is Geronimo Stilton. Fly Guy got me into Geronimo Stilton because I tried it and it was great. And Infinity, I tried it and I spelled it out, and I spelled infinity, and I was surprised that I read it, and that
made me into Geronimo Stilton. Reading is fun. You can read on the way to practices, any activity. You can also read on the way when you go on vacation. My favorite book series is Weird School Books because some of the teachers, it has the different weird, like Miss Smalls is off the walls. She's a gym teacher, and she went in a tree when they were playing hide and go seek, and she fell the tree, and she got hurt. And Mr. Doctor is off his rocker. The kid doesn't think he's actually a real scientist.
First grade, I didn't know how to read, but now I know how to read, and I'm reading bigger books like Geronimo Stilton and My Big Fat Zombie Goldfish.
I became a better reader because in September I wasn't a really good reader, but now I am, and my passion is reading books, and now I love books, and it helped me by writing in Writing Center and reading, and this is my favorite. This is the new series that I'm going to be reading, Junie B. Jones. It's very funny.
Oh, that was terrific to see. I loved it. There's nothing better than seeing kids in action and seeing the good work that the teachers do come to life. So thanks for bringing that for us. Anything more to mention on curriculum before I move on to another subject?
I think
We're good there? We
good.
got it covered? Okay. I'm sure people will continue to hear more about that. So obviously we're doing this show to try to help our community and parents really find out a lot more about what we're doing in the schools. So I wondered if you had any advice for parents about what their role in education could be and how can they help their kids, especially when one thing I know we hear a lot of is about that crazy new math, right?
Yeah.
The newfangled math. So anything that you can offer our
Newfangled
parents.
math. And I say the newfangled math is,
Yeah.
I get it sometimes too. But it's all about number theory and kids thinking about math.
Okay.
So we don't need that rote memorization, but what does this number sense look like? And how does this break down? And, we don't always have a calculator to do things, but let's think about it. What does this number mean? Yeah. So we've done a lot of that, just having kids stop and think. What does this mean? What does this look like? So I say just for math, just talk about math. Talk about how often we use it in recipes and
It's a good
when
point.
you're shopping, when you're driving, and miles, and get all that language for students. I also say the best thing parents can do is read. Read to kids.
Yes.
Talk about reading. Talk about books. Like we just saw in the video, kids talking about their reading lives.
Right.
But they have to talk about a book. And any reading is good reading.
Yes,
I know some
absolutely.
folks struggle with that. Read the same book 5 times.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
Get them reading and get them talking about books, talking about the characters, and then you can form questions about, well, what would have happened if the character did something different?
Right.
Take it different. But I just always say if we read and we talk about books, our kids are going to be okay.
Yeah,
You know,
you're
we can
right.
get
And
them.
so much, I've read so much about, speaking of reading, but, obviously you always hear about the vocabulary that kids learn and the differences where the kids that come in with so many words in their vocabulary and others, and how
That's
successful.
a great visual. I always think we should put it on our website, and maybe we should, because
That's right.
it's a bar graph, and the amount of words that kids come in with kindergarten,
That's
the
right.
vocabulary, and how successful they can
Right,
be. So
right.
it is just, that's why I say read and talk.
Read, talk, ask
Read and talk,
questions, engage in conversation. If that's anything parents can do.
Absolutely. Yeah, do that.
Good point. I think they can handle
And
that.
at any age, too, because I still, as my kids are, 18, I think, is
Right.
or 17. We still talk about books.
Sure.
We talk about what he's reading and the characters, and
Good.
I'm not always into some of the books he's reading, the sci-fi, but
That's
we
okay.
still talk about
That's
them.
okay.
Yeah.
Or The Walking
Yeah.
Dead or any
Yeah,
of those
all
things.
that. Well, they've got me to like
Yeah.
that. I will admit on TV.
Yeah, I like that too. So anyway, you also run our mentoring program called Project Time.
Correct.
So what does that involve? How many teachers? What does it take to be a mentor? Why is it important?
It's so important. It's one of my favorite parts of my job because it's working with of colleagues and teachers, so they come in excited to be working in Dartmouth.
Yeah.
So Project Time, Time stands for Teacher Induction and Mentoring
Okay.
Experience. So it's an acronym. And all of the new teachers that we hire have to go through this program, and we pair the new teacher with with a mentor, with
Yep.
someone who's been here. In order to be a mentor in Dartmouth, you had to have been teaching for 5 years.
Okay.
3 years of which in Dartmouth, and you have to have the endorsement of your principal, and then you have to go through a mentoring program.
Okay.
And actually, we're having one tomorrow at Bush Street.
Saturday.
morning. Yep, Saturday morning. We have 15 folks coming in who want to be a part of the program.
That's terrific.
And they'll have 5-hour training where we just really talk about adult learners. How to question, how to calm people down. It's
Right.
that first year in a job,
Sure.
and you see that stress folks have. A lot of our project time program is what I call it's Dartmouthism, so we kind of baptize them
Right,
to Dartmouth. Little things like where do you park?
Yeah.
How do you get copies made? How do you communicate with the PTO? Where do you get your email? All of that stuff. So we just bring them in the beginning of the year. It's kind of like we have to match them up, not knowing people, but we've had good success so far. This year we have 25 new teachers, which involves 19 mentors. So sometimes it's a good pairing. So we'll
Sure.
have a triage of people.
Yep.
A lot of times we try to go one-on-one. And we've met a couple of times. We start a whole full day in August where they come in and we just tell them about the district. And I kind of
Right.
call it's like a big snapshot. I'm going to throw an awful lot at you
Yep.
very quickly,
Yep.
but don't worry, as the year goes on, we'll unpack it all. So
Right.
we have technology come in and SPED come in and just give a real overall of what it's going to be like in the classroom.
Yeah.
And then we give them time with their mentors to kind of walk the building, find out where everything is. And then as the year goes on, we just start unpacking it. So we unpack all the SPED processes and procedures and all the tech. That's what they really want to know. How do I always say, welcome to Dartmouth, and this is how you call in sick, kind of, or this is how you get your sick
Right.
days, or this is
Right.
where you get paid, all that stuff, all the
Sure.
tech stuff. This is where you log in to do your attendance. So
So
it's a
the
nice
days
program.
of just, showing up at a school and walking into a classroom and say, hi kids, here I am.
Exactly.
Boy, there's so much more involved that
much,
people
yeah.
don't think about.
And the curriculum, I said, I
Yeah.
talked about all that stuff, but the biggest part is the curriculum. What are
Right.
we teaching?
Right.
How are we teaching it? Where are the resources? Where do I go get those great probes Tracy was talking about,
Yeah.
And how do I incorporate all that? How do I incorporate all this tech? So
Well, that's
the
great.
mentors, I have to give them a great shout out. The mentors in the district are fabulous. They really coddle the new teachers and
Nice.
work
They
with
care
them.
about them.
Yeah, they
want-
do. They
well,
really
again,
do.
everybody's successful, the whole district's successful. So
And that's when I
good.
say to the new people, we try very hard to support you because your
Right.
talent is what you do within the classroom.
Yes.
And so we want to get all that other logistics out of your way so you don't get bogged down in that. So that's how I feel like that's the support of me
Right.
and the mentors
Right.
and just trying to get that so you can do what you do good at.
And I can
be in
tell
the
you
classroom.
enjoy it. Even though
I
you
do.
come in on
I know.
Saturday, you enjoy it.
That's okay. I'll bring donuts.
Yeah. And the other hat that you wear is as a Title I director. Can you tell us what does that mean? What's Title I? And why is Dartmouth a Title I system? And what do we get for it?
Sure. So we basically get money.
That's
That's what
good.
it comes down to.
Okay.
It's a grant from the federal government, and every district is somewhat of a Title I district. You have to fill out a grant application every year. It's a free and reduced lunch percentage that brings the money in, and this is kind of where some people get confused.
Right.
That brings the money into the district as to what percentage of the pot of the federal government money we get, but then who benefits from that money is based on academic need. So the goal of Title I is to just help support students so they reach those rigorous state standards that we were talking about earlier. So Title I is really about doing more than what the districts can do. So the federal government gives us money so that we can do a little bit more to kids who are academically needy. It's supposed to go after the poverty. So we don't get a huge amount of money, but we do get some money. So we have 3 Title I schools, Potter and Quinn, and then our third one is Cushman. They read down the whole way they formulate how they do it. So this is the first year Cushman has been
Yep.
risen to the top to get that money. So we have a reading specialist, coach over at Cushman. Most of our Title I money does go for either math at Potter and Quinn. We have math specialists just to go in and kind of dig in. We find the data of who really needs the help in math, and then the math specialists just go in and start filling those gaps. So they don't stay with them for a long time, but they find out, oh, this child's having a hard time in just number sense or fractions, and they'll pull them for that 6 to 8 week period, whatever it takes, and kind of help to fill those gaps. It's done in addition to whatever's done in the classroom. So it's a nice program.
It is, and of course, if we lost that money, those are pieces of the program that we would not be able to have because
Exactly.
it is extra,
It's
and
extra.
the grant does not allow us to supplant what we
Right.
already have in place,
Exactly.
what our operational budget would.
Exactly. And then, so
Yeah.
the Title I grant, it does do that. It's an addition, and they do a big parent engagement piece. In fact,
Okay.
last night we had our Title I math night at Quinn.
Yep,
So
you
we
sent-
had a lot
thanks
of
for sending me
parents come.
pictures
Yeah,
of
I sent you
that,
some
yeah.
pictures. We had parents come. We played math games. We had all the Title I teachers and the administration from Quinn there playing with kids. They got to pick some books to go home because, like I said, that's what I think all kids should be doing. So we
Right.
had some books they could take home. And the Title I grant also provides a lot of PD for staff. So we have
Which
some
is
coaches,
important.
very
Yes.
important, coaches working with the teachers of the Title I students to say, what can I do? This is where these gaps
Yeah.
are. What are some new skills or strategies I can do to try to go after them?
Right.
So we kind of we triage. We do a lot of collaboration here.
Yeah.
Whether the
Yep.
mentoring program or Title I program, where we really get teachers together
Right.
to work together.
Right, I've seen a lot of that, again, having just come on board since in July, the number of teachers that step up to provide professional development for their colleagues, or as you said, the coaching in the classroom, so that's really important. We always love teachers learn with teachers.
Yeah.
It's the best kind of PD there is. So,
is.
so as we kind of going to be wrapping up shortly, what's your favorite part about working here? You said you've been here 13 years
Yep.
working here. You were in another system before. Can you pick a favorite part, or just love every day?
You saved the hardest for the
Yeah.
last. Yeah. I think the staff. I think
Yeah.
I do. Not to be corny, but I'm fortunate enough when I come to work, I do enjoy my job. It's frustrating at times sometimes,
Sure.
but the staff is wonderful. And I said it is home to me because it's personal and private. So I just feel like when I walk into a
Right.
building, I see folks that had taken my own boys and kind of built relationships with them, and then I have relationships with them. So
Nice.
these same people have talked about books with my kids, and I've talked about books with them,
Right.
professional books we've read or fun books that we've read. And staff is really there to support kids and make sure kids are successful and provide lots of opportunities. And that I
Yeah.
think that's what
Yeah.
that's what makes us special here.
That's- yeah,
is,
and
is the staff that cares about the students and
yep.
can kind of go above and beyond
That's
lots of times to
terrific.
make sure kids have what they need to be successful.
Good. A lot of my questions with people that when I interviewed as I came on board to find out about the district, that's always when I say, what's the strength of the district? That was the number one thing people kept saying, the staff.
Yeah.
That they're committed and invested and just do what they can to give the kids a bunch of opportunities. So,
I mean, I think just when we went to the conference, we had 15 people come with
Yeah,
us.
I know.
And
I loved it.
it's hard to leave the classroom. I get that. And we ask classroom teachers to leave
Right.
and to go do all this own personal, it's a
Right.
personal sacrifice too. You have
Yep.
to leave earlier and stay
Sure.
later. But, they were excited. Look
they
what I can
were.
do. I can't wait to go back and do this. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was
good.
fun.
It was a great
It's the
day.
good part.
A great
It
couple
was.
of days
Yeah,
with
it
a
was.
great group of teachers.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, well, I want to thank you for coming on board.
Thank you.
And again, kicking this season off. So we're hoping to have a lot
what is
more.
next? Got a
yeah,
high bar?
they have a high bar.
Yeah.
And and we look forward to talking to you again when we find out some more things
fun
that are
stuff.
going on in our district. So
Great.
thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
So once again, this is Bonny Gifford, Superintendent of Dartmouth Public Schools, and we hope you have enjoyed our show today. Tracy Oliveira was our Director of Curriculum, Title I and Mentoring, and so I hope you tune in from now on, and as we continue to showcase what's going on in Dartmouth with Dartmouth's Got Talent.